don't say a word. It's just networking. Do you all realize that networking is the key to your success? To understand the title of today's seminar, Don't Say a Word, The Art of Networking. First, you must understand communication. And this is the piece that most people are missing. When I say communication, you think of words, you're talking to each other. And when I ask people, what percentage of communication do you think are the words that you say? I have people say 50%, 75%. And I say, okay, what else? And I have a few brave ones who are like 25%, 7%. Yeah, that's it. 7% of communication are the words that you say. 38% is the tonality, the way that you say it. And here's the big one. 55% is your physiology, and that's what gives everybody away. In order to demonstrate that what I say is true, I need a handsome volunteer from the audience, one who smells exceptionally good.
It's terrific. It's my branding.
He smells terrific. Okay. So all you have to do is stand there.
Okay.
All you have to do is watch. I hate you. Cut. Now. I love you. And thank you for our special guest actor, who's a director-writer. So, words coming out of my mouth, crystal clear. Physiology, tonality, 100% different than the words coming out of my mouth. And how this applies to you with networking is that when you are nervous, when you are desperate, when you are frustrated, when you are resentful, that is all in your body. And what's going to happen is you're going to meet a nice guy at a networking event and he says, how are things going? And you've been out of work for a while and nothing's going on and you're frustrated and you're pissed off that other people are working. And you say, things are great. You know, just plug it along. And the words are fine. Things are great. I mean, if I was like, things are great, you know, he would have been like, wow, what's going on? But instead, what you see is there's a little something tight in my face, like maybe it's my jaw, or a little twitch, or I'm very stiff, or my voice doesn't sound quite right as I say it. And it gives you away. And of course, I'm exaggerating so that you get the point. But it's what you have to understand is that when I'm not exaggerating, it's so subtle that the unconscious is picking it up. So the person's saying, words are right, but there's something not quite right about this person. Something's a little off. And the only reason they know this is because somebody else who's got something great going on has this energy, this attraction. You know people like that you just want to be around. So it's really important that you understand that so you can get yourself into a great state despite what's going on in your life. What I see happen all the time at networking events are literally a person with a handful of cards walking around. Here's a card for you. Hi, I'm a camera operator. Hi, I'm an editor. Hi, I'm an actress. Here's my headshot. And literally walking around just handing it to every single person out there. Why in the world would I hire a complete stranger who just handed me a card, then went on to the next person and handed a card? I don't know anything about this person. So you want to create the relationship. Who is the greatest basketball player of all times? Michael Jordan. I love it when I've got a room full of, and I will say this, a room full of guys. And I say to them, who is the greatest basketball player of all times? And they're all looking around like,
Well, we're thinking LeBron, Kobe, Michael.
As far as a brand goes, it's Michael Jordan. Now here's the thing. We now know him as the greatest basketball player of all times. And like you said, it could be LeBron, it could be Kobe, it could be all these things, but he's branded himself that way. People know him that way. Was he always the greatest basketball player of all times? You might have ideas of who you want to be in 5 years. You have to start being that person right now so that everything you do, every way you market yourself, every way you present yourself with your first impressions and your image, all live up to that person. So people start seeing you that way and they just start believing it. You tell them that's who you are and they believe it because you believe it because you're living it. So it's not, oh, one day I'm going to be this Academy Award winning actress. You walk around being an Academy Award winning actress. You don't have the Academy Award on your mantle yet, but you know that this is who you are. So everything you do, everyone you speak to, you're speaking to them knowing I'm an Academy Award winning actress. And it gives you a different vibe, different energy. Anyone who's below the line and you're meeting with the director, you want to find out, did you write this? Because you want to share stories, and the stories, if they wrote it, you know they're going to relate to because they wrote it. So they obviously, it's a piece of them. I once had somebody say, I love those dark, quirky family dramas, but do I really want to share my dirty laundry with these writer-directors? And I said, he's sharing his dirty laundry with the whole world. You don't think that's his family he's talking about? And that's when he started getting all these indie jobs because he recognized that it's sharing and letting them know, I speak your language, I get it. If I was going to do something like a thriller, I would go in and tell the story about when I was in high school and I was homesick. And my sister came home from school and she was there with me. And my mom was taking night classes because she was getting more degrees for her teaching job. So we were home alone and I hear what sounds like somebody's walking up my steps to my basement. And I didn't want to alarm my sister. And I'm kind of sick and in this haze. And I go downstairs and the basement door's locked. And I look outside, I look around, but something didn't feel right. So as I'm walking up the stairs, I got this intuition, something is not right. And all of a sudden, because it's starting to get dark out, I see through my sister's window that there is a guy in a ski jacket with a hat on climbing over my porch. And my sister's right in front of my porch door. So I scream, Julie, get out of my room. And she's like crying by the time she gets to me because she could hear in my voice something is wrong. And I said, there's a guy out there. If he comes in through the door, you run out the front door. Stay on the steps. If he comes in through the front door, you run off my porch door. I'm calling 911. I called 911, I called a neighbor, I grabbed a butcher knife, the guy heard me scream, and I chased that guy up the street because all I could think about was keeping him away from my sister. Now, if I was a DP, I would say, and I remember the way the moonlight reflected on that knife. But you see how I had the suspense going, so it's like, I've lived it. I know what it feels like. It's your career. Take two. All right, I asked you to look at where you want to be in 20 years. And then I had you say, well, if I'm going to be there in 20 years, where do I have to be in 10? And in order to be there in 10, where do I need to be in 5? In order to be there in 5, I need to set up some one-year goals for myself this year that are going to take me to the next step but are realistic. When you go for coffee and you sit and you just talk about business, it's chit-chat, it's fine. But when you have a strategy meeting and you show up with what I'm about to talk about, putting together a business package, people are going to be like, whoa, and they sit up in their seat. Then when you have a piece of paper with their name at the top, they're like, oh, my name's on there. I want this to be good. Maybe they're meeting with other people. I want to have the best sheet. So they start all of a sudden brainstorming. And when people start brainstorming, that means that you don't negate, you don't say, oh, I've tried that. You just be quiet, you write it down, and there's a little checkbox there. So later on, if you want to do it, you check it off. You know, if they say, hey, be like Dennis Woodruff and decorate your car. Okay, put that down. Keep my mouth closed, and that's not getting a check. So that is what you want to do with the strategy meeting. And then there's a little section up there that says referrals. That's usually for them to say, what's that for? So you don't have to say, hey, can I have some referrals? And then you say, if we talk about anything today and you feel that you know somebody that may be able to help me or you think I should meet, I would appreciate just an introduction. The first lesson that I want you to learn and really get is that you are not a work for hire. You are not an independent contractor. You are the CEO of company U, which means that you have to look at yourself as to what kind of business do I want to be? And am I doing the work it takes to get there? How many of you would like to be A-list? How many of you want to be that Fortune 500? Okay, well, that's everybody. I guess that's why you're here. So knowing that, did you do the work of a Fortune 500 company? I mean, think if you were the CEO of one of those Fortune 500 companies. Did you do as much work as those CEOs are doing? Did you take that many meetings? Did you go to that many events? You know, are you just sending out cold letters and reels and sending out hundreds of them and getting 1 or 2 responses? Because that's not effective work. So we're really going to work on how to get strategic and how to give you guys ideas about things that people out there are not doing. Because 90% of the people are the reluctant entrepreneurs. They are the ones who are forgetting about this business side. And maybe you were a little reluctant before you came in, but you rose to the occasion. You are here, and every single one of you has the potential to be greenlit. So the higher your risk of being rejected, the less productive you're going to be. I mean, if you just have to call some friend's friend who knows somebody, then you'll call them. But if you know that you're about to call a mentor who agreed to mentor you, you might get those butterflies in your stomach, and then you're like, do I really want to follow up on this call? And then you start playing the games with yourself, and you're like, well, I said I was going to call on this week, but I didn't say when this week, and today's Monday, maybe it's too soon to call. So I will wait until Wednesday. And then Wednesday comes along, and you're like, oh, it's kind of the middle of the week. They're probably really busy and really hectic. Okay. And then Friday comes along, and you're like, oh no, I waited until Friday. They're probably gone by now. And then the next week comes along, and you say, now I've done it. I can't call now. There's no way. I said I was calling last week. Now I'm going to look like I'm not professional. And then a month goes by, and you're like, I burned the bridge.